The weather's clear. The sun is shining. It's the perfect day to relax. I'm going to finish work early today.
A citizen nearby is under attack. Please head to the following coordinates.
Copy that. I'm on my way to the designated location.
The coordinates are 300 meters away. It's close. I follow the directions given by the navigation system and run. In the distance, I see a familiar figure sitting by the foundation. Why is he out here in broad daylight?
Did you send a request to be rescued?
He fiddles with a silver coin. Then, he opens his hand and smiles as if responding with, "Of course."
I encountered a wanderer and needed some help.
Where's the Wanderer?
I made it run away.
How did you know I'd be the one to show up?
Sylus lifts his phone, showing me a Moments post I made earlier. It's geotagged to a nearby location.
Let's flip a coin.
He throws the coin high into the air, then catches it.
The outcome will determine many people's fates tonight.
Ignoring him, I open the rescue missions interface on the Hunter system.
I'm busy with work. Stop messing around.
Sylus tosses the coin again, clearly uninterested in the outcome. I watch it fly in an arc and land in the fountain behind us.
Today, you.
He suddenly stands up, drapes an arm around my neck and pulls me close. I look down and see his shirt soaked in blood.
Sylus, you're bleeding?
Shh.
What happened?
Let's go. If we don't, we'll be stuck here.
Sylus leads me down a narrow alley. After some twists and turns, I quickly lose my sense of direction.
You really like helping others.
Well, if I didn't take you with me, you wouldn't have let me go.
How are you so sure?
While supporting Sylus's waist with one hand, I try to press down on his wound with the other.
Lean down a little.
Sylus does as he's told, but he's so tall that in our current position, it's hard to walk.
Lean down a little more.
When hunters accept a rescue mission, do they always tend to the wounded?
No, we just escort them to the hospital. We only care for them when they're troublesome. Like you.
Sylus seems quite satisfied with my struggle.
So, what happened exactly? You're still bleeding.
It's nothing. The sun's too bright.
I look up at the very bright sun. I suddenly remember seeing him often at night instead of during the day.
Oh, good. I discovered another one of your weaknesses.
After 2 more turns, we enter a small motel. The receptionist looks like a 12 or 13-year-old boy. A math textbook is open on the table. It has several sheets of scrap paper and a workbook. Sylus wraps his fingers on the receptionist's desk.
I want room 503.
Not knowing the significance of the room number, the boy gives us a once-over before pulling out an access card from the bottom drawer. He also placed a white first aid box on the receptionist's desk.
Thanks.
After handing over all the necessary items, the boy quickly picked up his phone and returned to his game. Sylus gives me a meaningful smile, picks up the first aid box and card, and then leads me to the elevator. Room 503 is much more spacious than it looks. It has food, water, and even daily necessities.
Is this your safe house in Lincoln?
Expecting weapons or high-tech communication devices, I'm disappointed to find none when I open a drawer. I walk to the sink and clean the dried blood off my hands. I turn around, and Sylus sits on the shower floor with the first aid box open.
Can I get some help?
He gestures to his injured arm, unable to remove his shirt himself.
At least have the decency to say please next time you ask.
Sorry.
I walk over and kneel slowly to undo the buttons on his shirt.
Does it hurt?
Your hands are cold.
I just washed them. Bear with it.
Having helped him unbutton his shirt, I pull it off the left side of his body to get a clear view of his injury.
A gunshot wound? Wanderers don't shoot guns. Is this a new grudge or an old one? You always cause trouble, but you're never honest about it.
If you'd like to keep your involvement with the N109 zone to a minimum, then you shouldn't care too much.
But I thought you liked my excessive concern.
Sylus smiles faintly. He takes a pair of tweezers out of the first aid box.
Turn around.
Huh?
You don't need to see this. I'd rather not give you nightmares about me.
Since I can't do anything else, I turn my back to him.
Is there anesthesia in the first aid box? I can administer it for you.
No need.
Soon enough, 2 blood-stained bullets roll to my feet. I quickly turn around and see Silas's arm hanging down, blood flowing from his forearm to his wrist.
You've got to be kidding me.
Unable to bear it anymore, I take out gauze and alcohol swabs, squatting down in front of Sylus to bandage his wound.
You're skilled. I thought you were the type who usually comes out unscathed.
But because you keep messing around, all of my time lately has been spent on you. I don't go on difficult missions.
I see. You're not exactly pleased. I'll find a few dangerous wanderers for you to use as training dummies later.
Ignoring him, I carefully wrap the bandage around his chest. Sylus looks slightly worse for wear. He rubs his forehead and rests his head on my shoulders.
Give me a few minutes.
Unable to bear his weight, I stumble and sit directly on the ground. The narrow shower can barely accommodate us, so he kneels.
Does it hurt?
His breath trembles slightly. He's not pretending this time. I try to be more gentle. Whenever the alcohol swabs touch him, my heart skips a beat. Maybe I'm too careful since Sylus starts to tease me.
Your tender loving care is gonna last the whole night, huh?
Why don't you instantly recover and head back to the N109 zone to wreak havoc?
I wrap the bandage around his arm.
You're either the source of the trouble or in trouble. Aren't you tired of living like this?
It's almost like you're telling me to join you and become a member of the Hunters Association.
Do I make hunting look easy? We're required to memorize the Hunter's Code and take assessments during the holidays. Could you handle that?
Sylus doesn't reply and continues resting on my shoulder. I start to feel bad.
Be honest with me. Why are you doing all this? Do you really not care about your own safety?
Sylus smiles. His breath carries something heavy, but he still appears carefree.
There are shadows, even in the places where the sun doesn't shine. And it just so happens I'm a person who likes to live in the dark.
He lowers his voice again and whispers in my ear.
If you're curious about my world, you'll have to step beyond the border between light and shadow. You must be the one to make that decision.
I finish bandaging his wound.
I'm stunned. You're acting like you're giving me a choice.
Sylus sits up but doesn't put any distance between us. He looks at me with keen interest. I want to avoid his gaze, but he suddenly lifts my chin, smiling slightly as if enjoying the sight of my eyes trying to dart away.
Of course, I did give you a choice. And it's precisely because you've never chosen something that surprised me.
A few hours later, as the sun slowly sets, someone knocks on the door. Standing outside is the boy who was at the desk earlier. He holds a clean black shirt.
It's something someone asked me to deliver.
He places the shirt on the bed and leaves without saying anything else. I recall his innocent appearance and can't help but pity him.
He's so young but already mixed up in the chaos here.
Don't assume I'm the mastermind behind everything. This motel's just a regular motel. It has nothing to do with me. His father did come from the N109 zone, but we made a deal. I'd ensure his son would live a carefree life as a normal person. And once I make a promise, I never go back on my word. Instead of being concerned about that kid and his connection to the N109 zone, You should worry about his love for video games affecting his grades on his finals.
I can help him study later.
Sylus picks up the shirt and slips one arm into it. Then he walks over to me and leans down.
Could you help me again? Please.
Isn't your injury fully healed now? Why do you still need help?
Sylus moves his arm slightly, furrowing his brow.
I won't fall for such a childish trick, Sylus.
Sylus tries to grab the sleeve with his injured arm. He fails. Twice.
You stop moving.
I decide to end his suffering and help him pull his arm through the sleeve. Then I button his shirt, one button at a time. Sylus accepts my help. He even closes the little distance between us. He's too close. Through his shirt, I can feel his warmth under my fingertips.
Your hands are still cold.
That's just how it is. If you're afraid of the cold, then don't ask me to button your shirt for you.
After buttoning his shirt, I fix his collar on my tiptoes. Suddenly, Sylus touches my back and pulls me into a half embrace.
Not everyone is born with the privilege of being a normal person. You've known this for a while.
Before I can say anything, he lets go of me and walks to the window. He opens the curtains. The sky has become dark. The alley has no streetlights.
It's time to go.
He walks out of the room. Noticing my hesitation, he turns and beckons me with his fingers.
Aren't you coming?